And welcome back to the Hot Lap with Bahrain, now in the history books, and let's be fair, a much better race than the race we had in Japan. Yes, there wasn't exactly a fight for the lead, but oh my gosh, behind it was absolutely manic. Verstappen had a mare, Hamilton came forward, George Russell, what a hero, Lando Norris, oh dear. Was this a massive statement from Piastri saying, I am the one that's going to win the championship? I am the captain now, Lando, not you. What did this mean? At least, what did this race mean for Lando Norris's championship chances? So here we go. First of all, we got to give it to you, mate. Oscar Piastri, round 4, Bahrain, the first double winner of this year's championship. Not bad at all. He's pointing at you. He's pointing at me. Well done, Oscar Piastri. I mean, this guy is going from strength to strength, isn't he? He started the season very different, Oscar. Oscar 2.0, if you excuse the Bottas 2.0 cliche. But this really is Oscar 2.0 or 3 or 4.0. Bear in mind, he started, what, 2023? Yeah, so it's going to be Oscar Piastri 3.0. And it seems to be working. The latest update installed over the winter seemingly is faster, at least potentially, than Lando Norris. So this is Oscar with the championship. Well, yeah. Whoops-a-daisy, Freudian slip, maybe. I guess we'll see in December. But this is Oscar with the winner's trophy. And I love these classic trophies. It looks absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And Oscar Piastri, I mean, although I don't think I'd give him driver of the day, not that he had it easy, but he was in control the whole time. After that first lap 2, let's say, it never looked in doubt, even under the safety car. Once he got a few corners away from George Russell, who was on the soft tyre towards the end of the race, it never looked in doubt for Oscar Piastri, did it? This is your top 10. So it was Oscar Piastri winning, George Russell, an absolutely heroic effort to keep second, ahead of the man that arguably should have finished second, qualified second. He didn't. He made a right mare of it, in spite of one of his best starts ever. That's Lando Norris. Fourth was Charles Leclerc, fifth was Lewis Hamilton, sixth Max Verstappen, seventh Pierre Gasly, eighth Esteban Ocon, ninth Yuki Tsunoda, and 10th Oliver Bearman. Now, but let's talk about Lando Norris. Oh dear. I mean, this guy, Lando Norris, had an absolutely amazing start, despite the fact that he got himself a 5-second penalty for being for being too far ahead of his box in his start box. But he had his best start ever from 6th to 3rd. It was really, really good. And then he had an absolute mare trying to get past Charles Leclerc. Should have got past George Russell. He absolutely didn't. He really struggled with the car, which came across in the interviews. He really needs a reset and a strong Saudi Arabia, because Oscar Piastri now has, I think, although he's behind in the points, but not by much, he has a psychological advantage. And bearing in mind, I was watching it with my brother, one of my friends, who described Lando as a wet blanket, which was kind of harsh, but when you look back, maybe he had a point. Simply because when it comes to racing side by side, not for a second I'm saying he's got to take Max's, push him off the road essentially, but I can't help but feel that he doesn't take the risks, for example, that a Oscar Piastri did. If you remember the Azerbaijan Grand Prix against Charles Leclerc, I couldn't see Lando doing that, and I still can't, but I want to. But he hasn't shown us that yet. Hopefully he will. There's plenty of races still to go, but this was your full rundown. So 11th, really sad for him, Kimi Antonelli, nil points, despite arguably being one of the most entertaining drivers of the Grand Prix with all of his overtakes. His one on Max Verstappen was really good. I mean, he was just brilliant. Alexander Albon, sad, just outside of the points. Nico Hulkenberg, Isaac Hadjar, Jack Doohan in 15th. In 16th was Fernando Alonso, 17th Liam Lawson, 18th Lance Stroll, 19th Bortoletto, 20th Sainz, and the only DNF, the only finisher. And Carlos Sainz, he didn't. I mean, yeah, he qualified Albon, didn't he? But after that, that was kind of like the highlight, really, of his race. He looked exceedingly average. Very much not like Carlos Sainz. When I see all these Carlos Sainz, he should have stayed at Ferrari. I think they had a point at the time. But now, I think some people are starting to doubt them. Having said that, I'm sure Carlos come the next few races is going to prove us wrong. But there we go. This is the legend, George Russell, keeping Lando Norris behind him for too many laps, really. He did really well, despite the fact that his car was failing, his steering wheel was failing, he had an engine problem, and a penalty to think about by using DRS accidentally. But luckily, that penalty is not going to happen. We'll talk about that in a second. So George Russell, P2. Kimi Antonelli, we've already talked about Kimi, P11. Really sad, the fact that he did not get any points. He deserved points, but hey ho, lots of people deserve points and that do not get any. But if you want one of the most entertaining drivers of the race, it was certainly him. So here it is, George, driver 63, time 1926, that'll be local time. In Bahrain, the driver used DRS system for more than 1 second from the car in front, no penalty implied. Simply because it kind of like was an accident. I don't really think much advantage would have been gained, and ultimately I don't think it would have changed the fact that the time, for example, that he gained, Norris was nowhere near him at the time, but I don't think it would have made it, in hindsight, I don't think it would have made a difference. But this is basically Lewis Hamilton saying, great job, guys, in the pit stops. Really fantastic work. Thank you so much for the hard work to get us back up here. I know it's not the results we wanted, but I'll keep pushing, keep working harder. Thank you so much. Grazie. Yeah, I think Lewis Hamilton, bear in mind, his struggles in qualifying, not particularly great. Didn't really shine the world, did he? On him. But given the race, I think 5th was probably the best he could really do, and I think it was a really solid race, best race since that China GP result, but best performance, I think, in a Formula 1 race for Lewis. He did really, really well. He didn't finish too much far behind Leclerc, in spite of, for example, the different positions that they had. It was Leclerc that lost positions, Hamilton gained position, although yes, Leclerc did start second. But driver of the day, I don't think you can really knock it. There's a couple of other drivers out there which you think may have won driver of the day, like George Russell, but fair enough. It's a lot better than last Tsunoda and being driver of the day. Kimi Antonelli starting 8th, finishing 8th, being driver of the day. So at least this one seems a bit more legit. But here we go. This is Lewis Hamilton completely and utterly shunning, I think, the FIA. The FIA boss, yeah, let's give you and to be fair, Lewis Hamilton, I think he did kind of put his arms around him there, and then no hug though. See you later, Ben Sulayem. Yeah, fully deserved by Ben Sulayem. Well done, Lewis Hamilton. Fully deserved. This guy is not particularly, let's be fair, he's under pressure at the moment, and I think he should have gone a long time ago. But moving on, Yuki Tsunoda, he delivers the best for Red Bull second driver. This was crazy. He delivers the best finish for a Red Bull second driver in 175 days. Whoa. But well done, Yuki Tsunoda. 175 days. And when we look at Red Bull, P7. This is this is solid effort from no, this is not Red Bull, this is Alpine. P7 and P15. Yeah. I mean, Gasly's going to be happy. He did start on the second row, albeit I think even himself, he probably would have said, yeah, I'm not going to finish that, and he didn't. And Jack Doohan at times had solid moments in the race, but sadly P15 for him. I haven't actually spoken about Max Verstappen, so before we get to Alpine, Max Verstappen, he had an absolutely torrid race. He lost the place at the start, which is quite unusual. And from then it was just, almost hitting the reverse button, simply because where did Max finish? He finished 6th, did he not 7th? It was just the car was just slow, wasn't handling very well, and let's be fair, Red Bull's pit stop antics didn't help them at all. Yes, there were technical problems, but still, it was kind of embarrassing if you were watching it, and particularly if you were a Red Bull fan, it was embarrassing. There's talk about crisis meetings, etc. I just think this track didn't really suit the car like it did in Japan. Bear in mind, it's only a week ago that we were lamenting how good Max Verstappen was, and the car worked well. In Japan, how Formula 1 changes almost overnight. So anyway, Alpine, yeah, we've talked about Alpine. Let's talk about these two here. What a result for Esteban Ocon, P8, but arguably even better. Okay, he started 20th, not the best qualifying in the world, but P10 for Ollie Behrman. Absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy. Double points again for the Haas. Whereas people suggested they were the slowest maybe in the Bahrain test. They weren't. basically, were they in the end? It looks like, I think Stake F1 are probably the slowest of the round, but double points finish, you never would have guessed that come the beginning of the race. And Ollie Behrman and Oscar Knockin, really solid result. Nice passing as well by Ollie Behrman and defending at times. So yeah, from last on the points, so from last place to the points. Well done, Ollie Behrman. What a result. Shows you to never give up. And we were listening to all, F1 had all the radio play, all Ollie's radio play after he crossed the line, and he was showered with compliments. Now, when Lewis Hamilton does decide to go, and Ferrari look to Haas and look to Behrman, there, I don't think, at the moment, at the very least, very much not disappointed. But disappointing is Alonso and Stroll. P16 and P18. What is that about? An absolutely shocking race for Aston Martin. Bear in mind, a couple of years ago, you know, they were on the podium and had it. And they could have got double podiums potentially, given that Perez was in the second Red Bull seat at times at the beginning of 23, if they didn't have Lance Stroll. But there we go. Very average. Very average indeed. And Nico Hulkenberg's been disqualified for the Bahrain Grand Prix because of a skid block breach. Very similar to what happened, I think, to, what was it, Lewis Hamilton in the Chinese Grand Prix. The skid block was too worn, essentially, when they measured it. Hulkenberg out. Disqualified. Sad times, really. Yeah. So this is your driver standings. Norris leads on 77 points. And Oscar Piastri on 74. Just 3 points between the two McLaren drivers. Max Verstappen on 69, but George Russell looking him and getting close on 63. In 5th place is Charles Leclerc on 32. 6th place, Kimi Antonelli on 30. He is above Lewis Hamilton on 25, who's the bottom of at least, honestly, the top 3 teams. Well, top, maybe with Verstappen with the Red Bull, but let's be fair, Lewis Hamilton shouldn't really be 7th. In 8th is Alex Albon, 9th is Ocon, and 10th is Stroll. Now, when we look at the team standings, McLaren are dominating. They're already 151 points to Mercedes' 93, so well over a 1-2 away. 3rd is Red Bull on 71, 4th is Ferrari on 57. I do wonder whether Ferrari will at least finish 3rd in this championship. I think they will. At least. 5th is Haas on 20 points. Well done, Haas. 6th is Williams on 19. Aston Martin in 7th on 10 points, all scored by Lance Stroll. I know, amazingly, Alonso yet to score. 8th is the Racing Bulls with 7 points. 9th, Alpine with 6 points. And 10th, last but no means least, is Kick Sauber with those 6 points. So that is basically the main talking points of the race. Red Bull's bad pit stop, Verstappen having an absolute mare, Oscar absolute perfection, Lando trying his absolute best not to finish on the podium, let alone trying for 2nd, and George Russell, a hero at Mercedes. And Ferrari drivers still doing a fairly strong race, let's say. But if you made it to the end, here we go. Give us a subscribe if you are already not subscribed. But if you are, hit that like button if you want. That will be amazing. But really, you just making it to the end or clicking on this and watching it for a bit is more than enough for us. But anyway, until we meet again, thank you for watching. And above all else, other than seeing you soon, stay safe.